Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Speak of Africa, our show. We thank all our subscribers. We like the fact that you guys have really been subscribing and you've been commenting. We love those comments. When you comment, we respond. The comments help us to know what you are thinking. Now we understand most of you are into the election in Cameroon. So last week, we spent time delving into a portrait of the 2025 election in Cameroon as a movie, as a film. The drama continues this week. This week, what we found out is the country is hot. Cameroon is burning. And it looks like nobody can really put out a fire. Because when we look at what is happening in Cameroon, the youth are resisting. Paul Biya's fraud machinery is in action. When Maurice Kamto lost the election and he challenged Paul Biya's victory, this gave the opportunity to your average Cameroonian to know that Biya is a serial election rigger. If people did not know that Biya was rigging elections when Biya ran against Nijon Frundi, the election in 2018 with Maurice Kamto opened the eyes of Cameroonians. So Cameroonians had time to plan. Even Maurice Kamto himself, he spent time planning so that he will be able to outmaneuver Paul Biya in his own game. But Paul Biya is all things. He decided that, okay, Maurice Kamto is a formidable opponent. I'm going to disqualify him so that I should have an easy way to victory. Little did he know, Issa Chiroma Bakari, his own minister, is going to challenge him. And that's what has happened. So when you want to understand what is happening in with Cameroon, because like this week, after the Electoral College, which is called the Constitutional Council, decided not to release the results on time, this created a lot of tension in the country. Now they are saying that they will release the results on Monday, the 27th of October. Already the tensions are very high in the country. Issa Chiroma, the victor of the 2025 elections, has said categorically he wants to encourage people to protect their vote. One of the issues I've been raising from the very beginning of this election season, I was asking, Biya is the referee of this 2025 election. How is Biya going to lose? There's no way Biya is going to lose. So the way things are working out, I'm vindicated. I understand that on October 13, a day after the election, Biya was told that he has lost the election woefully to Issa Chiroma. In a cold-blooded fashion, Biya told his underlings, he said, well, I don't want to go anywhere now. I have some more years to stay in power. So change the figures. Do what I always do, rig it for me, so that I can stay for 7 more years. So you can see that the rigging machine starts from the very top. Some people may be thinking that the rigging was done at the party level. No, Biya is at the top of the pyramid. Because the way Biya runs Cameroon, he runs it like a drug cartel. CPDM is a cartel. CPDM is Biya's political party. When Ojong was president, the ruling party was called CNU, Cameroon National Union, Union Nationale Camerounaise. That was the party. But when Ojong left, Biya now came to power. He succeeded Ojong and introduced what he called a New Deal. He presented himself like a reformer. For those Cameroonians who were frustrated with Ojong's dictatorial ways, Biya presented himself as a breath of fresh air. You're going to have a new beginning, a new start. Rigor, moralization, justice, all the slogans that captured the imagination of Cameroonians. Biya was everything that Ojong was not, according to the people. Only for them to realize that instead of Biya turning Cameroon into a democracy, he turned Cameroon into a kleptocracy a la manière de cartel like the Medellin cartel in Colombia. And when we talk about cartel, it means that Cameroon is Biya's personal property, especially when we talk about property in business. We have the bundle of rights: enjoyment, disposition, control, possession. That's the way Biya perceives Cameroon to be. Cameroon is his personal property. In his mind, Cameroon belongs to him. He can do whatever he wants to do with Cameroon, and nobody can ask questions. Which is why, when you see the degree of control he maintains on Cameroon, it is really serious. Okay? The control is political, it's economic, and it's social. On the political sphere, when you look at the way Biya runs Cameroon, he runs it the way a drug cartel runs its enterprise. Pablo Escobar. If you think Pablo Escobar is a bad guy, Biya is Satan, Biya is evil. When you look at what is happening, just because Cameroon people have decided that he should go, he has decided now to fight and kill them because they don't want him to stay in power. When you look at the arrests, the number of arrests is growing every day. And in all the cities, a lot of young people are arrested. Even the opposition guys like Anise Ekane and most of those guys who are supporting Issa Chiroma, Biya's machinery, security apparatus, is picking them up one after another. But this time we see that Biya is really wasting his time because the youth are determined to dismantle the CPDM cartel. The infrastructure of the CPDM cartel is like a tripod. You have the political side, the social side, and the economic side. The youth of Cameroon are determined to break this cartel into pieces. Just the way you see Donald Trump is waging a war against the drug cartels in Colombia and Latin America, that's what the youth are doing. Even though they don't really have a lot of resources, they only have their voices, they are making their voices heard. Biya and his henchmen are killing them, but they are hell-bent fighting for democracy. They are hell-bent fighting for democracy. And they have seen in Issa Chiroma, not Paul. You may look at Issa Chiroma like Saul in the Bible, but the people think there's a new conversion. Issa Chiroma has decided to part ways with the old methods of Biya to do something for his people, for his conscience. People are really asking, after 43 years in power, is Biya not understanding that there's enough, he has spent enough time in power? So he wants to do 7 more years so that he can stay in power for 50 years. Come on, Biya, tu exagères. And that's what is really creating problems in the country. So Issa Chiroma has decided to announce, to publicize the fact that his people need to protect their votes. You voted, you won, but Biya is hell-bent on stealing your votes, your victory. So if you believe in your victory, fight for your victory. That's the message Issa Chiroma is telling his followers. And there are so many. The entire Cameroon is behind Issa Chiroma. It is interesting to note that even in the polling station in Bastos, where Paul Biya cast his vote, Issa Chiroma won in that polling station. So you see that even the people who are behind Biya are tired of him. They just think enough is enough. So Biya has been doing funny things to even aggravate the situation. This week, he has been planning to send commandos. After Issa Chiroma refused a backroom deal to become prime minister, Biya now sent his henchmen. First, they sent a general, a very powerful general in Cameroon, le General Francois Pelene. Interestingly, he comes from the north, like Issa Chiroma. He said his role as a soldier is to fight and die for his country. He's not ready to serve a man like Biya, who is a dictator. That's not his role. And it seems a lot of the soldiers, General Francois Pelene, they don't want to fight and die for Biya. But it looks like people like Ferdinand Gongo, who is Biya's acting president, Ferdinand Gongo is an uncharismatic figure, a slight, unmeritable man, like Lepidus in William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. He's not bright. He went to IRIC, International School of Journalism. He was a protege of Martin Bellinga Ebutu. He was in New York here, but because Chantal is close to him, he thinks he can use Chantal to become president of Cameroon. If he wants to be president of Cameroon, he should run for election just like any other person. So he should not use a back room using Chantal to become president. So the planning is, when Biya is declared the winner, Ferdinand Gongo will continue running the country. Then if Biya dies anytime from now, automatically Ferdinand Gongo will become the new president. That's the plan. And Cameroonians know this plan, and they are not happy with this Machiavellian plan. They want to get rid of Ferdinand Gongo. They don't want Ferdinand Gongo to be the president. So Francois Pelene was sent to go and arrange for the capture and killing of Issa Chiroma. He turned down that mission. Now the mission has been reassigned to a colonel, Colonel Ano Ngwet. But that mission failed woefully. The helicopter that was supposed to be used to capture Issa Chiroma in Garoua ran into problems, a lot of mishap, technical difficulties. So it crashed. It crashed. So this reminds me of the crash of the helicopter that was supposed to rescue some of these American folks in Iran, hostages. The hostages, that was a positive mission. But the mission to kill Issa Chiroma is a bad mission. And I think God doesn't like evil. So that mission has failed. Now Biya's people continue because Biya doesn't want to give up. He is hell-bent on fighting. Just like somebody said, Biya does not believe in democracy. He's a kleptocrat. He believes Cameroon belongs to him and he will kill anybody, just like Pablo Escobar. You stand in his way, he will kill you. And this is what happened to his first wife, Jean-Irene Biya, a lady of great gentility. Biya killed her because the lady asked Biya to leave power so that they can go into retirement. She said, well, we have a lot of money. We can live happily ever after. We don't need to stay here if the people don't want us to stay. Biya arranged for people to kill this lady. And this is one of the most publicized of Paul Biya's killings. And people keep talking about it. Before they were talking about it in secret, but now they talk about it in the open. Because your average Cameroonian can already foresee the downfall of Biya. What Biya is doing now, they consider them the last kicks of a dying horse. Because the people are hell-bent on overthrowing Biya. By any means necessary, Biya has to go. They are not just talking about it. So today they are in the streets. Issa Chiroma has encouraged them to come out en masse and protest so that their voices should be heard. Issa Chiroma doesn't want the people's victory to be stolen. So today we are facing a conflict. The Cameroonian people versus Paul Biya and his CPDM cabal, his CPDM cartel. That's what is happening. And when you look at it, there are a lot of ramifications. When we look at what is happening, some of you are really interested in this story. You ask me, Prince Ojong, how do you think this story is going to unravel? We told you before. Last week, I told you, I said, there are two ways. If Biya becomes president or if Chiroma becomes president. But if Biya becomes president, we see a lot of repercussions. Already, the international community is weary. You know, Cameroon actually is a French plantation. And the French do not want what happened in Gabon to happen in Cameroon. If you remember, Ali Bongo was sick and his wife started running the country. The guys knew that Ali Bongo was not running the country. They knew his wife was the one running the country. In Cameroon, finally, the people know that Paul Biya is not the one running the country on a day-to-day basis. Chantal Biya is the one. Then she uses Ferdinand Gongo as her acting president on a daily basis. So it's just like the chief executive has a president who runs a company every day, the CEO, okay? That's basically the way Cameroon is. So the people now know this. We've been telling you for years. We don't want to take credit for Biya's downfall, but we want to let you know that we've been covering Biya on our show for so many years. We've been explaining what is happening. We even told you a lot of stories about Biya's illness, ill health, prostate and cancer and other problems. We went into detail to make you understand Paul Biya's problems. For the first time, the people are realizing that what we said many, many years ago is true. We're not lying. Things are coming to pass. So you can see that. But ask yourself, for the youth of today, we encourage them to be steadfast. And we salute Issa Chiroma Bakari. It is really tough to make the kind of U-turn that he made. To serve a devilish, a satanic dictator, then decide to quit and fight for the people. So Biya is going to go in history as a very terrible guy. Biya is going to go in history as Hitler, Adolf Hitler. That's how satanic. There's so much blood on Biya's hands. A lot of people in Ambazonia, they cry every day. Biya's B has killed so many people. Okay? And Biya shows no remorse. He wants to kill more people because he wants to stay in power. The soldiers supporting Biya have to think twice before they go into new adventures. Because Biya has a lot of misadventures. He should take his own children to go and fight. Because what is going to happen now in the north is going to be worse than what is happening in Ambazonia. Even now, the Ambazonia Amba boys are scoring one victory after another. This week, we are told a lot of soldiers lost their lives, and they continue to lose their lives because Betty Asomo and Ferdinand Gongo are not listening. They keep sending young soldiers to Ambazonia, which is hell on earth. And those soldiers keep dying every day. But the deaths are not really phasing or unfazing Ferdinand Gongo and Joseph Betty Asomo. They keep sending more people. So from the way we see it, when Biya finally falls, a lot of people are going to be in trouble. Atanganji Paul, Ferdinand Gongo, and the other guys who are supporting Biya, they're going to be in serious trouble because they may even be taken to the ICC, the International Criminal Court, because we've been documenting the crimes of Biya's cartel. The crimes are just too many. We've been cataloging these crimes, and many other Cameroonians are cataloging these crimes. So it is really a very dark book of secrets. And things are not going to go well because Biya may end up in the ICC also. They don't really care about his age. He has to be accountable for his crimes. People sometimes think that, oh no, they do those things without Biya knowing. Biya always feigns ignorance, but he's always the architect of all those diabolic plans. And the people know this, which is why we have to be careful. Because on Monday, Biya is going to declare himself victorious in this election. What's going to happen? The aftermath is going to be big. Politically, we're going to start dealing with a new insurgency in the north. Because the north has people who like to fight. Biya thinks he has B and they're going to fight for him. But a lot of these B elements are tired of fighting. They're jaded. After fighting for so many years in Ambazonia, they are tired of waging another war again. And remember, they have been fighting in the north against Boko Haram. But now, they're going to be in a territory where the Boko Haram people have their brothers and sisters. So they will be conniving against Biya's B forces. So if you are in B and you're thinking that you want to fight and die for Biya, think again. Because the way we see it, the war is going to get really messy. Ngaoundere, Garoua, Marwa, those three areas, regions, they're going to declare an insurgency. That's what we foresee. They're going to declare an insurgency, and they're not going to let anybody from the south to come up there. They'll kill them. I can tell you that because I've lived in Marwa. I know that area very well. Then I know Garoua and Ngaoundere. I know all those three areas. So things are really terrible. But of course, the international community is... A Congressman, Jackson, made some pronouncements. Then Donald Trump too knows that Paul Biya has lost. And he's telling him, boy, pack your bags and leave. Then Emmanuel Macron also is telling Biya, boy, it's time for you to pack your bags and leave. But Biya is very obstinate. He's an old person. They respect his age, but if he doesn't want to respect himself, they'll have to push him gradually. Because there's so much at stake for the Western powers. That area has the Doba oil fields in Chad. Then the way they pipe that oil, because Chad is a landlocked country, they have to pull the oil from Doba oil fields through the northern part of Cameroon down to the port of Kribi. Cameroon gets a lot of money for this business. Chad gets a lot of money from this business. Multinational corporations also get a lot of money from this business. Only the people are not really benefiting much. In fact, one of my friends, Dr. Julius Anyundumbe, wrote a very good article on this, the Chadian Cameroon pipeline in Doba. It was meant to alleviate poverty, but are the people benefiting? Not really. So this international community elements who are benefiting, the multinational corporations, they're not going to sit quietly and let Biya's stupid politics mess up their wealth. They're going to fight for it. So they would love to kick Biya out so that they can maintain peace in that region, because they want peace. If there's war, it will be difficult to exploit that oil. Look at what has been happening in Nigeria. If the northern guys know that the oil is going down to La Republic of Cameroon in Kribi, they will sabotage those pipelines. They will break into them and be stealing the oil. So the international community has a lot to lose. Because of this, they're not going to let Biya sabotage the continuity of affairs in this part of the world. That's one reason. Then a second reason why we think the international community is going to interfere very, very soon is because France does not want what happened in Gabon to happen in Cameroon, where somebody takes over. So that's why they had to kick Ali Bongo, because they realized that France was about to lose Gabon the way they lost Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So they don't want to repeat the mistake in the Sahel states. So France decided to do something. So France may even arrange for a general in Cameroon to organize a coup d'etat. The only worry is if a general organizes a coup d'etat, Issa Chiroma may not be president. Just look at what happened in Gabon. So the people have to fight and protest in order for the coup leaders to allow Issa Chiroma to rule the country. Then the other issue, which a lot of people are not thinking about, is the spread of terrorism. We know America and the other Western powers are against the spread of terrorism. You know, the American war of terror is still going on. If Biya takes over as president and declares war on the northern people, Boko Haram is going to be happy. They're going to be smiling, because they're going to use this war as a pretext to spread their agenda. So that's something we have to think about. And if this happens, Cameroonians are going to be crying. So you begin to see the ramifications. You look at the Chadian oil pipeline. This is a lot of money, a lot of money. Savannah Energy, the company that benefits from this, is not going to let this happen. They're not going to be happy with it. So they will be able to tell their political masters, paymasters in the West, that please do something to get rid of Paul Biya, because this guy is not good for business. Get rid of him. So, but the people are still fighting and resisting. They are fighting and resisting because they can see that, as much as we know that a lot of the young people were born after Biya became president, but they still have that Ayijo nostalgia. They still have that Ayijo nostalgia. And to close this show, we want to let you know that the people are still thinking about Ayijo, because when they think how good things used to be, even though they have not lived, they hear stories from their parents and grandparents. Ayijo was a dictator, yes, but Ayijo spent time developing his country. Ayijo believed in unity, which is why you see Etudi was built. Etudi, the presidential palace, was built as a celebration of Cameroonian unity. But since the rise of Paul Biya, tribalism has become the order of the day. Elekam is made up of profiteers All these guys are business people. They come to make money, so that's why they sell the people's votes. In return, Biya gives them money. Constitutional Council. Clement Atangana, we found out that Biya is the one who made Clement Atangana a magistrate and prop him up in the system. So how do you think Clement Atangana is going to declare somebody else a winner? Clement Atangana will always declare Biya as a winner because he has a vested interest. That's his master. That's the person who feeds Clement Atangana. So Clement Atangana cannot decide that Issa Chiroma is the winner. He's not going to do that. He must really be crazy in order to declare Issa Chiroma the winner. And this is why things are going to get dirty, because his hands are tied. He's going to declare, and we hear Clement Atangana is even related to Paul Biya. So you begin to see it's a family affair. So this is their business. So other people are just coming to profit. They own the cartel and they want to make sure that they are the only ones who can benefit. So to end the show, we want to play you the video of Ayijo's resignation with a nostalgia. People still dream of better days. The young people are still fighting. So subscribe and share our show. Then watch Ayijo's video. Take a minute and watch it. Bye-bye.
Camerounaises, Camerounais, mes chers compatriotes, j'ai décidé de démissionner de mes fonctions de président de la République unie du Cameroun. Cette décision prendra effet le samedi 6 novembre 1982 à 10 heures. En cette circonstance capitale, je voudrais du fond du cœur remercier toutes celles et tous ceux qui, depuis bientôt 25 ans, ont accordé leur confiance et apporté leur aide dans l'accomplissement de nos lourdes tâches à la tête de l'État. J'invite toutes les Camerounaises et tous les Camerounais à accorder sans réserve leur confiance et à apporter leur concours à mon successeur constitutionnel, M. Paul Biya. Il mérite la confiance de tous à l'intérieur et à l'extérieur. Je vous exhorte à demeurer un peuple uni, patriote, travailleur, digne et respecté. Je prie Dieu Tout-Puissant afin qu'il continue à assurer au peuple camerounais la protection et l'aide nécessaire à son développement dans la paix, l'unité et la justice. Vive le Cameroun!
Do you solemnly swear before God and man to devote all your efforts to preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution and the laws of the United Republic of Cameroon, to watch over the common will of the nation, and to uphold and defend the unity, integrity, and independence of the Cameroon fatherland? I do so swear.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.